My family house, where I grew up, is threatened by the force of Mother Nature, and you're not stopping Mother Nature.
Right now, that is homes near the Rapidan Dam in Minnesota in danger of being swept away, as that dam is still at risk of failing at any moment due to heavy floodwaters. I'm Gadi Schwartz, and this is Stay Tuned Now. And right now, the flooding over at the Rapidan Dam is so intense, officials say it is now the second largest flood there on record. And the good news tonight is that it seems like the water flow is starting to slow down, which could prevent an even bigger catastrophe. But the bad news, with the amount of water pressure the dam is already under, more damage is inevitable. Just look at the difference a day makes. You can see how much of the shore has been washed away near that house since yesterday. And the flooding is just as bad in South Dakota, where chunks of roads and entire homes are just gone or destroyed, leaving behind scenes like this. And in Iowa, President Biden has declared a disaster there, with dozens of communities underwater, some still cut off from other areas. 2 people are now confirmed dead across both states after the weekend's historic flooding, and many more have been forced to leave their homes behind.
I didn't think it would be this bad. I was not expecting this. Can't go in to see that what's been damaged.
And it's right there.
And it's right there, yeah.
And unfortunately, the threat is not over. In Michigan, overnight storms there left an entire neighborhood covered in trees and downed power lines. More storms are expected to keep rolling through the Midwest over the next couple of days. Our team is tracking the latest conditions tonight. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns is standing by with the forecast. But first, let's go to NBC News correspondent Adrian Broadus in Blue Earth County, Minnesota. And Adrian, a remarkable shot behind you there. Well, I got to ask, what's an emergency plan if that dam totally fails?
Gadi, it's something to see. Folks have been trying to get pictures all day. We'll tell you about that a little bit later. There is an emergency action plan in place, but those who are facing or who were facing immediate threat have already been evacuated from this area. And we're talking about the folks who own this business that has been in their family for nearly 5 decades, at least 52 years. Their home where they grew up, and part of the family still lives in that home, also at risk of potentially, we're using the word potentially, collapsing and falling into the water. Now, officials we spoke with say their big concern right now is they want people to stay away. Their fear is folks are trying to get too close to take a picture of what you see behind me. Officials say if someone were to accidentally fall in, because while the surface behind us looks solid, it's not. There's been a lot of erosion. First responders would be unable to go in for a rescue, Gadi.
Yeah, I mean, seeing those images of that house that's literally on the brink of being swept away, I mean, what are people that live there saying?
So some folks who live here have left the area. Others have placed, according to law enforcement, sandbags around their home. I spoke with a woman named Louise Henderson, and she has so many memories here. She says the water at one point was soothing, but today it has caused sadness. Listen to what she told us.
Yesterday was, as I said, surreal. We literally watched our childhood wash over the bank. Trees, buildings, and even looking now at the bridge, it's hard to picture even and remember everything from yesterday.
So it is hard for those folks to watch. This is the second largest flood on record here in Blue Earth County. The nearest city is Mankato. We're about an hour and a half southwest of Minneapolis, for those familiar with this part of the Midwest.
And I know that I've been reading, when it comes to the flooding of Iowa, a lot of people there say that they don't have flood insurance because they're technically not in a flood zone. So what do they do now?
You know, a lot of frustration there. We spoke with one woman who says she was trying to get insurance but was denied multiple times. They're hoping FEMA can step in. And for those who have been following this story, likely remember on Monday night, President Biden did issue a federal disaster declaration. But in Sioux City, which is Woodbury County, where a lot of that frustration is mounting, a disaster declaration has to be issued before they can get any federal assistance. So they're keeping their fingers crossed that that will happen because they are in desperate need of help. Gadi?
Meanwhile, we will be keeping our fingers crossed that that house right next to you stays intact. Adrian, thank you so much. And let's bring in NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, there are more storms brewing tonight in the Midwest. I'm seeing tornado warnings there. What's going on right now?
We've had at least maybe a half dozen tornadoes. I haven't seen any reports of any significant damage. A lot of them have been on smaller version of tornadoes, but they've been near big population centers. So we have a severe thunderstorm watch that goes until midnight that goes from South Dakota all the way through to Illinois. And here's the downtown area. This is Des Moines. The first tornado report we had was out on Interstate 80, about 10 miles to the east of town near Newton. And now recently, we've just had numerous tornadoes reported here just along Interstate 35 heading south of West Des Moines. And we still have a tornado warning with this. So this little tail here has been producing sporadic tornadoes that we've been watching over the last couple hours, and severe thunderstorm warning south here on Interstate 35. Also, take you a little bit to the east here. This is Interstate 80. There's Iowa City. There's up Cedar Rapids. 2 tornadoes reported earlier as this line of storms went through. Now it has sunk a little bit to the south, but it is a rough time right now in Iowa City. Just hundreds of lightning strikes, some small hail, and obviously this could spin up a small tornado at any time. And then in downtown Omaha, we haven't had tornadoes reported, but we've had tremendous amounts of rain. These 2 thunderstorms have split apart. We're under a flash flood warning, especially south of Omaha. Areas have picked up 3 to 4 inches of rain. So it's been scattered of who's had the worst of it, but mostly in Iowa. And tomorrow night, we're going to watch these storms heading to the east. As the hot, humid air returns, then this cold front tries to move through. We're going to have a rough about 4 to 8 p.m. from New York City, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., about 47 million people included in that. Isolated tornadoes, but wind damage, the biggest threat tomorrow night at this time.
And Bill, I wanted to ask you about something that just happened that is weather related, but a lot of people are talking about right now. We're seeing these reports that a referee collapsed during the Copa America match between Canada and Peru out there in Kansas City. What have the temperatures been like out there, and could this be heat related?
A lot of people are assuming it is. We won't know for sure till afterwards, but it makes sense. I mean, it has been brutally hot all the way up from Louisiana into the Kansas City area, still under heat advisories. Remember, when we show you these numbers and these temperatures, it's in the shade. It's not down on the field in the sun, which you could probably add at least another 10 degrees to it. So when that incident happened about an hour ago, it was 104 heat index. So if you added another 10 degrees to that, it felt like 114 on the field. So it wouldn't surprise me at all, if that referee suffered from, a heat-related illness. And it's still, even at this hour, it's still brutal. I mean, we're still 106 Corpus Christi, 105 Little Rock. It's a dry heat in Las Vegas and Phoenix, but it has been a very hot day once again. We hit a 100 degrees in Denver today. First time we've done that in 2 years. And tomorrow's going to be very warm again. 110, Vegas, Phoenix again. Salt Lake City's going to be up getting close to 100, slightly cooler in Denver. We get some relief in Omaha and Chicago. But as I mentioned, that heat and humidity, D.C. tomorrow is going to feel like 102. And then, there's no break, real Gadi. You get like a 1 or 2 day break because the heat returns. Dallas is going to be near 100. This is the actual temperatures right through the weekend. Even Phoenix, Sacramento is going to be pretty warm too. But all eyes on the excessive heat warnings are there for a reason. And things like we saw with that referee can easily happen to anyone working outdoors if you're not taking the proper precautions. Sad.
Yeah, it's so easy to underestimate the danger of heat, and yet we see it every single day. Bill, thank you. And yet another blow to millions of student loan borrowers today. 2 federal judges in Missouri and Kansas have temporarily blocked a portion of President Biden's student debt relief plan. Now, the rulings impact what's called the SAVE program, which involves income-driven repayment and was aiming to cancel payments for millions of federal student loan borrowers. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell has more on all of it.
Tonight, a campaign promise aimed at millions of student borrowers hangs in the balance.
We made a commitment to fix our broken student loan system.
One of President Biden's programs to slash student loan debt is partially on hold after 2 federal judges temporarily blocked further relief from what's known as the SAVE plan. 8 million borrowers are enrolled in the program that ties the amount of loan repayment to income and family size. Under its rules, about 4 million borrowers qualify for no monthly payment. Others get a deep reduction. Austin Davis is a special education teacher who says he and his wife Brooks saw their monthly payments drop from nearly $1,600 down to $480.
Without this, we would not have been able to afford the cost to be able to have our own house to live with our daughter.
2 separate lawsuits were brought by Republican attorneys general across 18 states, arguing that the education secretary overstepped his authority and that states holding loans could be harmed.
The president has no textual basis in law for this plan, and I'm not going to let Joe Biden saddle working Missouri families with Ivy League debt.
Education Secretary Miguel Cardona late today.
People shouldn't have to choose between groceries and the student loans. Some Republicans are working harder to stop what we're doing to help than to offer any solutions.
The White House says the SAVE plan is just one small piece of the president's plan to try to help borrowers with student loan debt. The White House says they're disappointed by the judge's ruling, and they will fight it vigorously to defend the program. Gadi?
Kelly O'Donnell, thank you. And happening right now, one of the greatest Olympians of all time, Michael Phelps, is making waves, not in the pool, but at Capitol Hill. He and 4-time Olympic gold medalist Allison Schmidt are testifying to a House subcommittee on doping, and together they are telling Congress that the World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA, needs to be held to account after Chinese swimmers were allegedly allowed to compete after testing positive for a banned drug. And here's some of what Phelps had to say.
It is clear to me that any attempts of reform at WADA have fallen short, and there are still deeply rooted systemic problems that prove to be detrimental to the integrity of international sports and athletes' rights to fair competition, time and time again. As athletes, our faith can no longer be blindly placed in the World Anti-Doping Agency, an organization that continues to prove that it is either incapable or unwilling to enforce its policies consistently around the world.
And let's bring in NBC's Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles. Now, Ryan, Phelps has been outspoken on doping before. What are we expecting to hear?
Well, the big thing that Michael Phelps is impressing upon this panel tonight is that this is a problem that's been around for a long time, and despite the urgent pleas from high-profile athletes like himself, nothing has changed. In fact, Phelps harkened back to the testimony that he gave to the same committee back in 2017, where he was basically asking for the same set of requests that the Congress use its authority to try and put pressure on the World Anti-Doping Agency to level the playing field, to make sure that countries that don't have the same set of standards that the United States do meet those standards, so that these athletes who give all of their lives over to these sports and just pour everything they possibly can into the work that it takes to become an Olympic athlete, not then get to that big stage and have that opportunity robbed by an athlete who hasn't been playing by that same set of standards. Phelps very emotional at times when he makes this case to members of Congress, Gadi.
Yeah, it's one thing when it's one athlete. It's a whole other thing when it's a bunch of athletes. 11 of these Chinese athletes had previously tested positive for doping. They're going to be competing in Paris, right? So what's the IOC doing to make sure that athletes in Paris are clean?
So the IOC's entered into a contract with another agency. This is an independent agency called ITA, who has put out a very transparent list of all the steps that they plan to take to try and make sure that all the athletes that participate in the games this time around are in compliance. And it starts with testing that goes well beyond the games itself. They started this testing program back into April. That means during the qualifying stages to get to the Olympics. Then when the athletes reach the Olympic Village on July 18th, they're going to begin testing again. Even before they get into a competitive state, these athletes will be tested. Then once the competitions do start, there will be testing on the days of their competition. And then to take it even a step further, they're going to hold on to all of the samples that they take of these athletes and keep them until August 11th. So that if a question arises after the games, they can go back and look at these samples and make sure that the athletes that performed and won medals did so appropriately. Gadi.
And Ryan, some people that are going to be watching this are going to say, this is the Olympics, this is the IOC, like what's the connection between Congress and the IOC? But I mean, taxes are paying for some of this, right? Like our tax dollars are going to fund some of the testing here to the tune of like $3-4 million, right? So does the United States have a say in how they handle the business?
Yeah, they absolutely do, Gadi, and you're right. More than $3 million from the United States federal budget goes to fund the World Anti-Doping Agency. So the U.S. has a major role in oversight when it comes to the way that this governing body operates. And what Congress can say is that if you don't fix your procedures, and if you don't fix the way you handle this, then we're going to pull that funding. Now, that's not simple, though, because there isn't another agency that could easily take the place of the World Anti-Doping Agency. We'd basically have to start from scratch. So what Congress can hope to do is really attempt to enforce reform from within the organization. And it starts with this Olympics taking place right here coming up in a couple of weeks.
And we're looking forward to that. Ryan Nobles, thank you. And today we are learning more about the search for up to 50 migrants with possible ties to ISIS that federal agents are trying to find, and the arrest of over 150 who were brought in by an ISIS-affiliated smuggling network. Now, sources are telling NBC News that the migrants are coming from Central Asian countries like Uzbekistan, with U.S. officials telling NBC News that over 400 immigrants from that area have crossed into the U.S., mainly from the southern border. The arrests are part of a nationwide effort to address the potential threat of ISIS, with officials concerned over everything from potential connections between these migrants and family members with ties to ISIS to evidence that they may be members of the group themselves. Let's bring in NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley, who has more on this exclusive. Julia, incredible reporting here. What do we know about the ties to ISIS and those 50 who are still somewhere out there?
So what we understand is there have been over 400 migrants who have been brought into the U.S. across the southern border by a human smuggling network that we understand and the FBI has flagged has ties to ISIS, that there are ISIS affiliates moving within that group, profiting off of human smuggling. Now, whether or not they're trying to bring migrants to the United States to carry out a plot, there's no evidence of that at this time. But ICE is interested in arresting them because they think even if they're not going to charge them with a terrorism crime, this is out of an abundance of caution to go ahead and prioritize those people for removal from the United States because they come from the part of the world where ISIS-K has really been ramping up and because they were brought here by a group with links to ISIS. And so therefore, they are now being investigated for possible links to ISIS.
And Julia, do we know where they crossed and whether they claimed asylum or are considered what we call gotaways?
We know along the southern border, and probably most of those 400 actually were apprehended by CBP. Many could have claimed asylum at the time and been given notices to appear in court. That's how ICE knows about so many of them, because they're given a notice to appear and they track their whereabouts, sometimes through an ankle monitor program. But for more than 50, their whereabouts are unknown at this time. And so that is where ICE is really focused right now, so that they can at least track down where those people are. And I'm told that if they do track them down, they would then be arrested immediately.
Arrested, and then do we know about deportation possibly?
Yeah, well, I mean, of the 150 plus that they've already arrested so far, almost 100 of those have been deported. So, yes, that is a strong likelihood. They could also try to get more information about that ISIS-linked smuggling network that brought them here. There are a number of reasons why officials want to pick them up. But it's important to point out that these people are not being charged with a terrorism-related crime. It's not the FBI going to get them. It's ICE. If they were American citizens, they'd probably just be walking around living their lives. So because they violated immigration law, that's the thing they're being picked up on. And the reason these people are being prioritized over the millions of undocumented immigrants living here is because of this potential link.
Meanwhile, what's the latest down at the border with gotaways? Do we have any estimates on how many people are crossing that were never caught by Border Patrol?
Well, we know as far as the number of migrants presenting themselves at the border and trying to cross illegally, that's actually fallen pretty significantly just in the last 2 weeks since Biden announced new asylum restrictions. But always hard to know exactly how many migrants cross the border who are never counted. Also of concern is vetting at the border, because in the case of these 400 plus migrants, they weren't able to find any link to any terrorism network when they crossed. And then that becomes the work of agents after they're already in the United States. I spoke to a former FBI counterterrorism expert today who talked about his concern with the southern border. Take a listen.
The problem is the volume of people coming across the southern border, individuals from ISIS and other affiliated groups have recognized it as a weak point in our defense and they're using this opportunity to try to sneak in.
Now, 2 law enforcement officials have told NBC News that those arrested so far in that group of 400, they don't see any evidence so far that they were plotting an attack inside the United States, but says rather they arrested them out of an abundance of caution. Gadi.
Yeah, still concerning to say the least. Julia Ainsley, thank you so much for your reporting.
Thank you.
And don't go anywhere. We are just getting started. Up next, deadly chaos in the streets of Kenya. Rioters have now stormed Parliament there, and police are opening fire. NBC's Andrea Mitchell will have the latest. Plus, a new report says tens of millions of Americans may be targeted by disinformation within black online spaces. With the presidential election quickly approaching, we're going to tell you what you need to look out for. And later this hour, robo-taxis are becoming more and more popular, but the road to being full self-service from coast to coast, that's been a bumpy one. We're going to get behind the wheel of all that tech tonight in the future of everything. Hey, welcome back. Let's take a quick look around the world. The International Criminal Court is seeking the arrest of some top Russian officials. It's over those Russian attacks on Ukrainian power plants, but the former defense minister and the military chief of staff in Russia are not likely to be detained or even face charges because Russia isn't a member of that court, does not recognize its authority at all. This is the third time the court's accused Russia of war crimes. And Israel's high court is ordering the army to start drafting ultra-Orthodox Israelis there, and that new move could lead to the collapse of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's governing coalition, who partly oppose that change. The historic ruling ends a system where Orthodox men were exempt from serving while the Jewish majority was required. Now military service applies to all citizens. And 2 giant pandas in China are about to make their way to the U.S. They are preparing to be sent to the San Diego Zoo. Now, it hasn't been announced yet exactly when they're coming, but their departure revives China's panda diplomacy as more of those bears will land at other American zoos later this year. And 4 men broke into UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's home in northern England. They were all arrested almost immediately after they entered the property. And at about the same time, a car crashed into the entrance of the Prime Minister's separate county home. Now, that driver was arrested for damage and drunk driving, but police don't think the 2 incidents are at all connected. And right now, chaos in Kenya tonight with massive protests there turning deadly after police started firing into crowds. At least 5 people were killed, according to a human rights group, and thousands of demonstrators have stormed the country's parliament over the government's plan to raise taxes. Look at this. Part of that parliament building is up in flames, and inside legislators have been escaping through tunnels as demonstrators made their way in. Police firing back at those crowds, shooting live ammo and throwing tear gas. The country's president calling the protests treasonous, blaming the violence on what he calls organized criminals.
We must isolate crime from democratic expression and separate criminals from people exercising the freedom of expression.
And here's NBC's chief foreign affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell with the latest.
Tonight, police firing on thousands of unarmed protesters, killing at least 5 and wounding dozens. After protesters stormed the Kenyan parliament over a proposed tax law, setting fire to parts of the building as legislators fled. In the melee, former President Obama's half-sister, Alma Obama, a self-described activist, talking to CNN.
Young Kenyans are demonstrating for their rights. They're demonstrating with flags and banners. I can't even see anymore. They're being tear gassed.
The uprising over a $2.7 billion new tax bill as Kenya struggles to pay down its debt from COVID, the Ukraine war, and 2 years of drought. But young people are furious with the country's president, William Ruto, elected less than 2 years ago on a promise to help the poor. Tonight's violence shattering the glittery image the world saw just last month at a lavish White House state dinner when the Bidens celebrated Kenya's leader as an important Western ally. Former President Obama, whose father was Kenyan, came to the reception. As Nairobi burns this morning, the first contingent of 400 UN-backed Kenyan police arrived in Haiti to try to restore order there.
Andrea Mitchell, thank you. And a new report is sounding the alarm on a lack of food in Gaza. It finds that 96% of the population there faces high levels of acute food insecurity. Now, that's been the concern the United States has had for months, leading to the construction of that temporary pier on the coast of Gaza to try to get aid to Palestinians. But it's not working nearly fast enough. NBC News Pentagon correspondent Courtney Cuby has that story.
You can see the beach from this American pier off Gaza. Tonight, our first look at the structure which has allowed the U.S. military to deliver much-needed aid by sea.
It took about an hour to get from the Israeli port at Ashdod to here. This is JLOTS. It's a temporary U.S. military pier system meant to deliver humanitarian aid to Gaza. But even after about 6 weeks of operating, the U.S. military has seen it has some limitations.
Including weather. High seas and winds damaged the embattled pier last month, forcing the U.S. to drag it back to Israel for repairs.
The weather here today is calm, so aid is moving. But once these waves get to about 4 feet high, the pier has to be taken apart and moved, or it risks being damaged.
President Biden unveiled the pier with great fanfare during his State of the Union.
A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day.
It cost American taxpayers over $220 million, but has only delivered aid on 17 of the last 40 days.
It's been online 17 days of the last 6 weeks, mainly for weather. So when you look at that, do you still feel that this mission has been a success?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me point out why. One, as a commander, personal, my soldiers and sailors have stepped up. We know the weather got us. And when it did, they stepped up.
The day's deliveries were made. The U.S. military brought in nearly 14 million pounds of aid, often the main contributor to aid for Gaza on any given day. The beach area takes indirect fire nearly every day, according to defense officials. The pier has not been targeted, but aid agencies suspended distribution and haven't delivered that aid since June 9th. Now, about 11.5 million pounds of aid are sitting in scorching heat and sun where it can't help the Asila family. We live in a tent and eat canned food, and our children stand in line to get water. The aid is not always available, she says. The American military mission and the pier are expected to leave in the next 6 weeks.
NBC News has learned that the U.S. is working on a plan for what happens after the JLOTS leave. One option is delivering humanitarian aid through the Israeli port at Ashdod. A second option that's been floated to both the White House and the Israeli government includes something called the Blue Beach Plan. That would involve a private company using their own ships and their own pier that would be anchored into Gaza. It wouldn't cost U.S. taxpayers anything. Back to you.
Awesome. Incredible on-the-ground reporting there. Thank you. And now to some breaking news as WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has just pled guilty to a felony charge of violating the Espionage Act. Now, this is video just in showing Assange arriving at the court a little earlier today in the Northern Mariana Islands. Assange pleaded guilty after WikiLeaks obtained and published classified military and diplomatic documents way back in 2010, if you remember. Assange is expected to be extradited to his home of Australia after the hearing. Actually returned to Australia after that hearing, but this plea now secures his freedom and ends the legal battle which he has been fighting for over a decade. And coming up, a new report found that disinformation is targeting Black Americans ahead of November's election. We're going to have more on that for you right after the break. But first, you got to see this. This is a house in New Jersey that caught fire with an older couple trapped inside. And take a look at this dramatic body cam video as officers approach.
You all right? You all right? It's fully engulfed, fully engulfed. All right, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. Sir, where are you at? I can't see anything.
Through all of that thick smoke, the officer managed to find and rescue a man stuck on a chair. But then the officer, he actually collapses from the smoke. He was treated for smoke inhalation, and the couple made it out safe and sound. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. And here are some of the headlines we're watching tonight. It has been less than a week after Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry made his state the first to require the 10 Commandments in schools. Now he's being sued for it. 9 families who are all backed by the ACLU have filed a federal lawsuit against the state saying the new law interferes with their First Amendment right to raise their kids in whatever religion they want. Governor Landry said that the state will fight any legal challenges. And Hunter Biden has been stripped of his ability to practice law in Washington, D.C. Today, a D.C. Court of Appeals suspended his law license following his conviction of 3 federal gun charges earlier this month. The president's son faces up to 25 years in prison, and a sentencing date has still not been scheduled. And voters in Utah, New York, and Colorado are heading to the polls today for their congressional primaries, with some high-profile races going down the latter two. In New York, Progressive Representative Jamal Bowman is facing off against County Executive George Latimer. Meanwhile, in Colorado, GOP Representative Lauren Boebert is facing a crowded primary in the district she newly switched to. Polls are still open, but we'll be sure to bring you the latest updates. And Tesla is recalling its Cybertruck again for the 4th time. This one is over 2 separate issues, a trim piece that can come loose and a faulty front windshield wiper. Both issues increase the risk of crashes, and Tesla says they will replace both parts for free. And the Florida Panthers have won their first ever Stanley Cup, defeating the Edmonton Oilers 2-1 in Game 7. Oilers star Connor McDavid was named as the MVP of the playoffs. Now, the 2024 election is less than 6 months away, and according to a new study, right now tens of millions of Black Americans are being targeted with tons of disinformation across Black online spaces ahead of this November election. And all of this is threatening to impact Black voter engagement and potentially the overall turnout. Let's bring in NBC News' Marquise Francis, who just dropped this fascinating story on NBCNews.com. So, Marquise, can you break this down for us? Like, how are they being targeted? And is this specific targeting at the individual level, or is this things on things like policy?
Right. Well, thank you for having me. And when you talk about disinformation, it seems as though people talk about it seemingly ad nauseum, but they don't actually talk about the impact and what it is. And so Onyx Impact actually put out this report, and they're calling it the first of its kind, taking a deep dive into understanding disinformation targeting Black Americans. And as you can see on the screen, they focused on 6 core online networks reaching or targeting Black Americans, including gateway influencers, far-right activists, the Black manosphere, Black extreme nativists, health skeptics, and foreign actors. And, you know, these are just a bunch of different examples, including the likes of folks like Candace Owens, who go on certain platforms and they say things that are not inaccurate, and then they have no one to push back. And it's not necessarily that these platforms are always knowingly pushing disinformation, but when you are a platform that has a majority Black audience, and then you have someone like a politician on, and you don't necessarily have the rigor to be able to push back, that's how misinformation seeps in. And ahead of an election, it's greatly dangerous.
And Marquise, it's one thing to be targeted. It's a whole other thing to like fall for the disinformation, right? So what do we know about that?
Yeah, well, studies show disinformation, no matter how wild, the more someone says something, it starts to seep in, right? If someone continues to tell you COVID-19 vaccine doesn't work, you start to question it. If a candidate says something over and over, you start to think twice about it. And so I actually talked to the CEO about how powerful disinformation repeatedly is.
Black voters are likely less susceptible to many disinformation narratives, given their deserved higher levels of skepticism in institutions and government overall. But just like other communities, when disinformation is targeted and sophisticated and comes from messengers with standing, it can be incredibly effective and dangerous.
Yeah, and one of the things that I also came across during my research is the fact that Black Americans actually over-index when it comes to their use of social media. And so in this day and age where so much news is put behind a paywall, Black Americans are often going on Facebook and YouTube to get their news. And so when that news is not verified and it's actually inaccurate, you can start to see why it becomes so dangerous.
And yet that is the day and age that we live in, right? So is this like the new Wild West, or does this report outline any ways to fight against it?
Yeah, I mean, it feels as though we're living in the Wild Wild West, but the report actually did offer some strategic guidance in order to combat that misinformation. And a couple of those include engaging actually with these gateway influencers consistently, not just ahead of an election year, but often. Also identifying trusted messengers and discrediting bad actors. And then lastly, overall aggressively countering disinformation. And it's something that we all play a role in as Americans, as constructive citizens in terms of the democracy. And so the report definitely laid out some ways in which to guide us forward.
AKA like blasting them in the comments? Is that kind of what they're going for?
Blasting them in the comments and holding them accountable, right? If you have someone on a platform who is just not spewing accurate information, let that platform know.
Got it. Marquise, thanks. Fascinating stuff, brother.
Thank you.
And a reminder, the first debate between President Biden and former President Trump is being hosted by CNN, but you can catch it right here on NBC News Now on Thursday. Our special coverage starts at 7 p.m. And coming up, for the first time in history, the U.S. Surgeon General declared gun violence a public health crisis. Dr. Kavita Patel joins us on that right after the break. Hey, welcome back, and here are some of the stories happening out west that we're following right now. In San Diego, a sad ending to the search for a missing hiker. Police think they have found the body of a 50-year-old woman who went missing on Sunday while hiking during a heat wave. Now, she was part of a hiking for school fundraiser, and she was separated from that hike halfway through to take a break, and her body was found just about a quarter mile off the trail there. And a Nevada judge has declined to release Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, the man accused of orchestrating the murder of Tupac Shakur, all because of concerns over the source of his bail money. Now, prosecutors said the entertainment manager who posted Davis's bail wanted to record interviews of Davis before and after his release, and that would violate the judge's request not to profit from the case. A judge said she would review Davis's bank statements before issuing a ruling. And the suspect in the North Las Vegas shooting from Monday night that left 5 people dead has killed himself. A teen girl was critically wounded in that shooting as well. And according to the Clark County Coroner's Office, the 5 victims are still being identified along with the motive of that suspect. And the final day of a key hearing in the classified documents case against former President Trump saw brand new photos revealed from the FBI's raid of Mar-a-Lago. Now, Trump's lawyers are fighting to toss out evidence recovered during that 2022 raid, arguing the operation was against the law. And the former president was not required to be at that hearing, but special counsel Jack Smith did show up, and his team showed those new photos that he says show just how haphazardly the documents at Mar-a-Lago were kept. In one photo, 2 stacks of paper marked top secret were stuffed in a box with a book and what appears to be maybe a red pillow there. In another, 3 crumpled, unfolded polo shirts were stored with papers marked confidential. Now, Trump's team claims the agent involved with that raid did not keep the materials intact. And joining us now to talk about this is NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas. Danny, so what exactly did Trump's lawyers try to argue today, and how effective were they?
Look, any motion to get evidence thrown out is always the longest of long shots. I can count really on one, maybe 2 hands the number of times these motions have been successful for me. You do try to make a record. You hope maybe an appellate court might see it another way, but you're duty bound to try to throw these kinds of things out. In a Franks hearing at the federal level, you're challenging the information that goes into a search warrant. And if you can suppress the search warrant, you suppress everything that flows from that search warrant, everything that was recovered. So it can be a massive victory if you win, but it's just so rare to win, and even rarer still in the federal system, because when the federal agents go to get a warrant, they're usually pretty certain they've got probable cause. And if you challenge the truth of the information that goes into that warrant, maybe you've got a shot if you think you have something that's really, really false, but you're going to need something that really undercuts the probable cause in a warrant.
And the trial still doesn't have a date yet, right? What do you think happens next?
The judge in this case, normally in my experience, federal judges will set a date, even if it's an unreasonable date, and then they'll move it. This is obviously an unusual case, but I think it's fair to criticize Judge Cannon for taking a long time on a lot of motions. You have some of the important dates right there on the screen right now. But Judge Cannon has shown that she's acting very carefully. She wants all the evidence, all the information she can get before she makes a decision. And I think it's a fair criticism that these are decisions that other judges might have made faster, with less evidence and less briefing. And all of those motions hearings push this case out to a date that is still uncertain, which I can't tell you enough how rare that is in the federal system, where cases usually move with quite a bit of speed.
And shifting gears a little bit here, the gag order in the New York hush money trial, we saw that partially lifted today, right? Why is that gag order, part of the gag order, being lifted? And what can the former president say now that he couldn't before?
Two parts of the gag order were lifted. One was not. There were really three parts. You can't talk about witnesses. You can't talk about the prosecution, their families, all these other things. And then you can't talk about jurors. And I think perhaps the only surprise today was that the court did lift the gag order on speaking about jurors. And the reasoning for that was that the decision was made based on a record that was made at the appellate court level, one that has not been disturbed. So probably a bit of an unusual choice there, but the judge expressed that if he thought it was within his power, he would have continued the gag order on the jurors. But now, as to witnesses, that might be Michael Cohen, maybe Stormy Daniels, Trump is free to speak about them. He is still not free to speak about people that are like the prosecutors, their team, and the people close to them, their families. That's a category that remains. But here you have the unusual situation where a gag order is continued beyond the trial. Pre-trial release conditions will continue after a verdict. It's just gag orders are so rare that you don't see them at all, let alone after the verdict.
Yeah, all this is so weird. Danny, thank you. And does it seem like either you or a lot of people you know lately are getting sick? Well, there may be a few reasons for that, and I hate to say this, but the CDC says COVID is back on the rise in 39 states across the U.S., and the latest data is showing hospitalizations are up 25%. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin takes a closer look at what's getting us sick this summer.
Tonight, for a growing number of Americans, this summer of sizzling temps is also the summer of sick. The number of COVID cases now on the rise nationwide. So far, 15 states have high or very high levels of the virus in their wastewater, according to the latest data released by the CDC.
I'd probably characterize it more as a swell. It's certainly more than we've seen in the last few months.
As people crowd indoors to escape the heat, the virus spreads. This year's uptick is thanks to the so-called flirt variants, subvariants of Omicron, which now account for more than 60% of COVID cases.
COVID-19 is indeed becoming more mild over time. Population immunity has been going up, and therefore the severity of the illness has been going down.
And yet it's still worse than the flu.
Yes, COVID-19 is still worse than the flu. The outcomes of COVID-19 are still worse than the flu.
Doctors say the elderly and immunocompromised are still at high risk of severe disease and should consider masking in public spaces and make sure they're up to date on their vaccines. While preventative masking for healthy individuals is no longer recommended by the CDC, they say if you're infected, wearing a mask can prevent spread.
Aaron McLaughlin, thanks so much. Let's go to NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. Dr. Patel, just like to recap there. COVID, like masks, vaccines, social distancing, like what did we learn and what do we still need to do?
Here's the good news. We've learned a lot. And by the way, those uptick, while they're all across the 39 states, as you heard, there is really kind of a concentration on the western area. And so we think that some of that has to do with just travel patterns and that places like Hawaii had a really low season. What do you need to know? You really need to know that masks still work. I think that the best place to do it are in crowded spaces because we're all going indoors to escape the heat. And then, of course, we're all waiting for an update to the vaccine. We should get one this fall. It doesn't do us any good. But if you haven't been vaccinated, you can still get vaccinated and then it kicks in after a couple of weeks. That can help as well. And then the basics, just hand washing and testing. I know a lot of people who don't think they have COVID because they have a sore throat, a cold, and I've said, let's get you checked for COVID. And sure enough, it's positive. You might be qualifying for antiviral treatment, and that can help you in that case as well.
Getting sick in the summer is the absolute worst. Now, shifting gears a little bit.
It is.
Yeah. That announcement from the Surgeon General declaring that gun violence is a public health emergency, that was fascinating. Let's take a quick look at that.
The highest price that we pay for gun violence are the lives that we lose, nearly 50,000 a year. But we also know that for every one person who loses their life, there are two who are injured to gun violence. There are others who witness these incidents, family members who lose a loved one. There are millions of others who listen and hear about gun violence each and every day. That has led to a collective trauma in our country.
And so, Dr. Patel, what does that mean for the Surgeon General to declare gun violence a public health emergency? And why now? Why not Surgeon Generals of the past?
Yeah, a great question. Look, as you heard the Surgeon General discuss, we've had over 48,000 deaths in 2022 from guns and gun-related violence. And then when you think about the leading cause of deaths, ages 1 through 19, it might shock some people to see that it's firearms, not accidents, not poison, firearms that are the leading cause of death. And I think that's why we're just seeing trends that are going in the wrong direction. And I think that's why you're seeing now. And honestly, I think the reason it hasn't been done in the past is because in the past we were tackling, previously it was COVID. Before that, it was cigarette smoking. I think there's always been kind of a time and a place and sometimes a political window to get these announcements out. And what better time than when we have this increased call for action and a way to do something about it in a political year, such as an election.
Does he have any recommendations for what to do about it today?
Yeah, it's a great. So unfortunately, a lot of this still does take some legislative or regulatory action, but banning assault weapons, universal background checks, and making sure that there are safe storage laws and ways for people to be able to have safe storage mechanisms so that you can have recreational gun use. You can be able to exercise your right to use a gun, but in a safe manner and by the books, by the law. And I think this is exactly what the Surgeon General is calling attention to. So I do think that this is just a spotlight to remind us that gun violence is a public health emergency, just like COVID is, just like any other chronic disease.
Dr. Patel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. Thank you.
And before we go, it is time for the future of everything. And 3 years ago, we got an exclusive sneak peek at Waymo's first ever self-driving taxi. It was a modern marvel of its time. Take a look.
Good morning, Gadi. This car is all yours with no one up front.
Those sensors are the eyes of what Waymo calls the Waymo Driver, a computer that uses 19 cameras, LiDAR, and radar to see what's happening 360 degrees around the car and up to 3 football fields away.
That was 2021. Well, now they have gotten an upgrade, and those same taxis are hitting the streets in San Francisco. NBC's Valerie Castro has more on that after the break. And finally tonight, in the future of everything, we were talking about one of my favorite topics, self-driving cars, or should we say robo-taxis, because self-driving taxis are rolling around the streets in a lot of cities around the country now. And today, Waymo has expanded its robo-taxi service to all of San Francisco, a place that's kind of gotten used to seeing cars with no drivers these days. NBC's Valerie Castro took a ride down in Phoenix, and here's how that trip went.
Here in Phoenix, robo-taxis are a hot ride. Open up the app, choose a destination, and just a few moments later, all right, the car is here. I'm going to use the app to unlock it. And away we go.
Hello, Valerie.
So we just hopped in the Waymo. There is no driver behind the wheel, and we're going to go pick up the mayor of Phoenix. The robo-taxi, owned by Google parent company Alphabet, takes us for a smooth while cautious ride, the steering wheel turning as if an invisible hand is guiding it. And when we get to a stop sign,
complete stop,
we reach our destination with no issues.
We've arrived.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Excellent.
Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego is a big fan.
Waymo drivers don't have the kind of bad days that human drivers do.
Do you think this is safer than an actual human being behind the wheel?
The technology can see so many more things and process it so much more quickly. I think in the long term it will be safer.
Why is this working so well here in Phoenix?
I think we've been very open to the technology, and there have been some political challenges in other communities that we have not had. We have an open grid system of streets, and so I think that is probably a little bit easier to navigate.
But incidents like this low-speed crash into a telephone pole in May, leading to a software recall of its Phoenix fleet, more than 600 cars. The robo-taxis caught on camera making other mistakes, turning into oncoming traffic in Tempe, swerving in and out of its lane, driving into a construction zone, and ignoring an officer's instructions to pull to the side of the road.
Sir, there's no one there.
Waymo declining to comment on specific incidents, but adding that they continue to refine the technology. Waymo is the subject of an investigation by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration for various collisions, saying several incidents involved collisions with clearly visible objects that a competent driver would be expected to avoid. Waymo saying in part, NHTSA plays a very important role in road safety, and we will continue to work with them as part of our mission to become the world's most trusted driver. In other cities, driverless taxis are also making headlines.
Waymo, going the wrong way!
A cruise vehicle owned by General Motors and a competitor of Waymo's running over and dragging a woman who had just been struck by a hit-and-run driver last year in San Francisco. In a statement, Cruise said its car braked aggressively to minimize the impact with the woman after the other car launched the pedestrian directly in front of the Cruise vehicle. Regulators temporarily suspending the company's permits. Waymo criticized for causing traffic jams and stopping in the middle of the street.
Hi, how are you?
Crossing guards telling NBC Bay Area they've nearly been hit in the crosswalk.
It did not recognize me in the intersection.
But back in Phoenix, Waymo says it's growing, dominating 315 square miles around the city, the largest metro area it serves in the country, and it's the only robotaxi that picks up and drops off at a major airport. Andrew Maynard is a professor at Arizona State University School for the Future of Innovation in Society.
Waymo, as other companies that are developing similar technologies, are still learning. So it's not 100% safe. If we have a technology that occasionally runs into poles, maybe that's the price to pay for developing a technology which will ultimately, hopefully, be safer than humans.
Removing the human element is why a community group called Phoenix Babes Who Walk partnered with the company, calling it a safer option for women and members of marginalized groups traveling alone who might encounter a bad experience with a rideshare driver.
We've had folks who are gay or lesbian, and they're afraid to get into their car and hold their spouse's hand because of what might happen with their driver, comments that may come up unsolicited.
While the tech continues to improve, some believe it could become the norm down the road.
To me, the most exciting scenario is that we use self-driving cars as a stepping stone to a future where we have completely rethought transportation.
Waymo is also growing in California, even though it's faced some pushback there. Today, the company announcing it is expanding its service to all users in San Francisco. Previously, there was a waiting list. It also operates in limited capacity in Los Angeles and Austin, Texas. Gadi?
Yeah, it sure does. I mean, we're starting to see those cars all over the place here in L.A., San Francisco, Los Angeles, Austin, and Phoenix. It's coming everywhere. That does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you here tomorrow. But until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.